Kellyanne Conway from the North Lawn, and welcome back here, and good morning to
Good morning, Bill and Sandra.
Good morning.
Two things I want to set up with. First of all, the president last night in Mississippi said the following about Dr. Ford's testimony. Just a quick clip from that. Watch.
36 years ago, this happened. I had one beer, right? I had one beer. Well, do you think it was? Nope, it was one beer. Oh, good. How did you get home? I don't remember. How'd you get there? I don't remember. Where is the place? I don't remember. How many years ago was it? I don't know. I don't know.
That comment's gotten a lot of reaction. Some people think he was mocking her. Others suggest that he was pointing inconsistencies in their story. Whatever it is, Susan Collins, a critical vote in this, just a moment ago, talked to our Fox crew on Capitol Hill and said the following about those comments. Just roll this quickly.
The president's comments were just plain wrong.
And it was that simple and that short. Your reaction on that, Kellyanne? Were they wrong? Were they unnecessary? What is the position on that?
Bill, since the accuser was revealed in the Washington Post story some 17 days ago, everybody, including this White House, this president, the Senate Judiciary Committee, obviously the mainstream media, has been incredibly accommodating to her wish to testify, to giving her the space and the deference that she needed to do so. She provided her testimony. She still has no corroboration for her testimony. There are still no evidence, no witnesses that have confirmed, as far as we know. Now, an expanded FBI investigation. We at the White House are not micromanaging this process. We have allowed, we have said, sure, if the Senate Judiciary Committee wants to have the FBI investigate a little bit farther, then they're doing that. We are not managing the scope, the witnesses, anything like that. At the same time, the president is pointing out factual inconsistencies. By Ford's own testimony, there are gaps in her memory. There are facts that she cannot remember, how she got home, how she got there, where the house was, what the date was. If those who are pretending that they want to find the truth don't fess up and say, but we can't find the truth when she doesn't know all the facts. That is part of the testimony that she put in under sworn statements. And look, delay has not been a friend to her either. You have people from her life coming forward now wanting to say things. You have the revelation by Senator Hatch that perhaps Dr. Ford's own attorneys may have violated a standard under the ABA in not providing her the option that the Senate Judiciary Committee Republicans offered her, which is to testify privately in California. They would have gone to her. She didn't have to come to them. But then there wouldn't have been cameras. Then their attorneys wouldn't have had their moment in the spotlight. So there are many different, I think, satellites floating around the core issue here, which is, should Brett Kavanaugh be confirmed to the United States Supreme Court as the nominee? So far this week, we're talking about beer and ice.
Well, that, of course, is the big question. Will he be confirmed? But before that, we need to know when this FBI investigation will wrap. Has the White House, the president, received any updates that you can share with us on the investigation?
Well, you see what Leader McConnell has said publicly, and I think that's incredibly authoritative here, which is that he's scheduling a vote this week, could file cloture very soon, and that the FBI investigation that was requested by members of the Senate Judiciary Committee, including Republican Senator from Arizona Jeff Flake, said that he wanted it to not be longer than a week. And if the FBI feels like that has been ample time for them to execute on the limited scope of the continued investigation here. Remember, this is not a criminal proceeding. It's not a civil proceeding. It is pursuant to the Senate confirmation hearing of Judge Kavanaugh to the United States Supreme Court. We now have a Supreme Court without its ninth justice, and you see a lot of the polls where Americans want this to come to its completion. Speaking of polling, I want to make something very clear I haven't heard others mention, which is that for all the screaming and dreaming that this is helping the hard left, which is the modern Democratic Party, and energizing its base, and this is an extended part of the Me Too movement, etc. Of course, only if the victims of the Me Too movement are Democrats. But that aside, if you look at the president's tweet from last Thursday after Judge Kavanaugh testified, he got over 300,000 likes within 24 hours. That's a lot of likes for a presidential tweet. And your own primetime lineup on that same night, Thursday, following the historic testimony, you had 5.8, 5.3 million viewers on your primetime lineup shows. So it tells me, it tells me that the president focusing on the Supreme Court, and that folks who care about the Supreme Court are very focused on what happens here, and many are disgusted with the process, as you know.
You're listening to Kellyanne, and you dropped a bit of a headline the other day on Sunday when you were being interviewed, saying that you were a victim of sexual assault yourself. And I just, as you listen to Mitch McConnell and follow this debate with Dr. Ford and the confirmation vote of Brett Kavanaugh, what more do you want to add about the context that you have in your own life, about your experience that you have brought to this issue?
None. I don't intend to be the story, and that obviously wasn't planned, but I will repeat the full sentence for you because I didn't leave it at that. I put comma, and therefore I don't hold all men responsible for that. I hold the perpetrator responsible for that. And I don't think we should be judging the harm, the grief, and the impact on those who have suffered sexual harassment, sexual assault, rape. We shouldn't judge that according to their politics. And whether you work for President Trump, whether you're a lifelong or registered Democrat or have Democratic attorneys, and certainly whether you're nominated to the United States Supreme Court by President Trump. So that was my entire point, that now we're blaming all men. Mitch McConnell being chased through an airport with the four-letter word rape being thrown at him. It's a disgrace, and the country sees it. That's why in the latest Quinnipiac polls, a lot of those voters who were just sort of humming along, agreeing but not intensely so, are swinging back if you look at the latest poll. And that's not even a great poll usually for Republicans and conservatives, because people are watching this and they do worry about the men in their life. They do worry about the impact going forward of what this means. But this has nothing to do with me, except to say that we have to make sure that we're not blaming an entire gender for what individual men have done. And that we're not judging people and the deference they should be given, or the being treated like a Fabergé egg or being treated like crap.
Understood.
Based on their politics and where they work.
Understood.
Wink, wink.
Thank you for offering that.
May I just say one thing? Leader McConnell said it perfectly. This is precisely what many rank and file voters are feeling. And we hear from them constantly, which is that nothing will ever be good enough, not just for the Democrats on the Senate Judiciary Committee, but all the Democrats who aren't voting for Judge Kavanaugh. And I think if you're a red state Democrat right now, you are stuck choosing between this being complicit in a process that has been about delay and destruction and the will of your own people in your states. If you're one of those 3 Democratic senators who voted for Neil Gorsuch just over a short year ago, Senators Manchin, Heitkamp, and Donnelly in Indiana, you've got to think about this. What has changed? Because your voters want a Supreme Court nominee to be confirmed. They don't want this obstruction. They don't like the socialist way the Democratic Party is going.
It's obviously a critical point, a critical moment. Meanwhile, front page New York Times, big story for them. Your reaction from the White House on their reporting Trump engaged in suspect tax schemes as he reaped riches from his father. This report, Kellyanne, makes the case that the president is not a self-made man, that he's been given money from his family since he was a child, and they did it by means of complicated tax schemes and beyond.
Well, as the president has said, it is the first time he's ever witnessed a major outlet taking the time value of money and pushing it forward. But his attorney, Charles Harder, made very clear yesterday this is 100% inaccurate, and that the people who were hired to work on these issues decades ago were all professionally licensed and swore themselves that what they were attesting to was fact and legal. So these are CPAs, these are attorneys, they are real estate experts, and that he denies this completely through his attorney. And also, I think what our press secretary Sarah Sanders said yesterday about this is very instructive, which is, does the mainstream media ever see anything positive in a booming economy? Even just today, we have the projection of 185,000 new jobs in the private sector, but it was 230,000. Where's that? Where's the highest stock market? The boom, the lowest unemployment rates. They've never met a piece of good news under the Trump administration. And so the president is right about that. But this has been denied by his attorney, by his press secretary, and by him. And I think the play here is two things. Number one, I guess they're moved on from Russia collusion because it obsessed them for 2 years, and I haven't heard it in a while. Number two, and most importantly, they're just trying to goad the president into suing them so they can get his tax returns. And haven't they learned yet that President Trump always gets the last laugh and the upper hand in all of this?
That's been a long fight. Kellyanne, I thank you for your time. We're out of time. I hope you come back. Do you have a prediction on the Kavanaugh vote? Does he get confirmed, and what is the final tally?
Here at the White House, the president is standing behind his nominee, and we recognize that those red state Democrats are in a very difficult position, choosing between the leftward-leaning complicity in a destructive process that hurt both Ford and hurt Kavanaugh, and doing the will of their voters. These states where the president...
Is he a justice of the Supreme Court? Does he get by?
Yes. Yes, he will be on the Supreme Court.
Thank you. Kellyanne Conway, thank you much for your time there from the White House.